Welcome to another podcast. Coach Keyton and Crawford here on the Crawford Podcasting Network. No, we're not at Grand Traverse Pie Company. We're at Lindsey Adams Stadium, Jeff Smith Field here at East Lansing High School, right out over here on Bircham Drive. One of the high schools that have curbside appeal, where you have the football field in the front yard. Kerry Keyton.
Literally.
That's sending a message that
Literally.
Football is important here at East Lansing High School.
Or you just ain't got no space.
You got no space. You're landlocked. You got the student housing over here. I mean, you got sorority houses next door.
Sorority, family.
You're part of the
School.
Michigan State University fabric.
Yes,
Where this guy went to high school or to college. He went to high school, Eastern High School. Played on this field.
Absolutely.
When it was flipped around, where that was the home field.
Home side, yeah.
That was the away side. Which is weird because the home side is supposed to be on the west side. You know, so you're not looking into the sun. Why is that anyway?
Nobody wants to look at it as sun.
Yeah, look at that sun, you know.
And when you're shooting camera,
yeah,
you gotta be able to
absolutely
shoot to see the good field.
So we're here because tomorrow is the big day here in the state of Michigan. I don't know how many thousands of student athletes are going to start high school football practice, so, along with other sports, the boys and girls, and it's a big day and a little nippiness in the air. You know, I mean, these kids are going to get spoiled.
Oh, they are.
We're here on Sunday morning. I mean, usually you're at 85, 90 degrees. And
easy.
Trojans start practice at 9 o'clock, and 33 years for my bud here, Kerry Keyton. 33 years coaching high school football. What have those 33 years, what have been the most significant changes approaching two-a-days as opposed to when you first started?
Now it's a lot more doing stuff in the off season where kind of like, you know, almost not like the pros or college, but to the point where kids are, you don't really have to do, I mean, you obviously got a condition because kids are still going to be kids, but they're in a lot better condition now because of the training and stuff that we do in the summertime and stuff like that.
So you got the kind of the OTA element of the pros comes to the high school where you're working out all year round.
I mean, if it's important to you, yeah, you're here and you're putting it in. And then you got, you know, the guys that go see the trainers and that kind of all that other stuff. But just the fact that they're putting in the work needed to be prepared, because you're not going to be prepared for. Only way to get prepared for two-a-days is to actually do two-a-days, and nobody's doing that.
Right.
But you can be better so that on the morning of the Monday, of the next Tuesday, of the next Wednesday, with the first pass, your body feels better, so you're able to get out of the bed and get to practice.
Get up, get moving.
Kid, that rack monster, get them like, I don't think I'll make it today.
So especially after, you know, first contact drill, you know, like 3 days in, put the pads on, take the pajamas off.
Take the pajamas off and put that 30 pounds of gear on. Everybody becomes different at that point. We find out who the real ones are.
Right.
When
So
the pads come on.
I'm asking your perspective on this. You know, that first year, you were at Eastern High School as an assistant. Was that who you were coaching at that time?
My first year, I did my student teaching at Everett and coached JV.
Okay.
And then my first actual paid was at Eastern as a volunteer.
And that was the head coach was Mark Ditzworth? Okay.
And then I went back to Everett. I had an opportunity to coach those kids as seniors that I coached as 10th graders.
Very cool.
It was probably one of the more fulfilling.
And who were you coaching with then at that time?
Walt Bosilevich was the head coach.
Oh, okay. That's going back. Yeah.
So got to try to learn, you know, still learning, you know, how to be a coach and to coach.
Well, how did you get back? So you flip up, you went Everett, you went Eastern, Everett. I mean, was there a little flip-flopping here going on here?
Yeah, well, like I said, did my student teaching at EV, so I coached JV football there.
Because you were back at you were the head coach at Eastern.
Well, then I went to Eastern and coached, and then went back to Everett, and then that was just 1 year, and then went back to Eastern, stayed there, and then became the head coach there in 90, 80, 99.
Okay.
and stayed there for about 4 or 5 years, and then transitioned to Everett after that.
Because I remember Jack Eberly and I were doing the radio show, so I was going out and doing, I'm going down to Mike Smith, meeting him at practice. I went in and crashed your locker room over at Eastern High School, and I asked you a question. So you send, it's like the traditional 2 days of the old days. You have your morning, then kids would go home, and they come back, and
sure.
And then you go. I go, so you send them home, or you keep them here? Hell, I gotta keep them here. I'd never see them in the afternoon. It was like you were so transparent about that. That's just the way it is, right?
Yeah, but and at that time, even this time, not so much with these kids here, but with our Everett kids, we had a lot of kids, we call them income kids. They're providing income for their families or for themselves.
Right. They gotta work.
They gotta work.
Yeah.
And we're not lucky enough to live in the Haslets and the Okamisses and the DeWitts of the world where where the kids are, they don't have to worry about working because the folks got money and that kind of thing and whatnot.
Right.
So we always tried to make sure, I made sure at Eastern, and then we did at EV to make sure our kids were done by 1 o'clock. That meant starting at 8, 9:45, come back out at 11, 12:45, hey, you out of here.
Yeah.
Have a good day, we'll see you in the morning.
Yeah.
And we always fed them. We fed them in between practice and that kind of stuff to keep them there, and then be able to send them home by
So,
1.
what's your anticipation? Now, this is a highly acclaimed East Lansing team. A lot of expectation. You got how far in the playoffs? You got to quarterfinals.
They took semis last year.
Semifinals.
One step away from
Ford Field. Lost to Muskegon, a very, very talented,
excellent
Muskegon team, which is going to be very, very talented again this year, as they always are. Not to get ahead of ourselves.
They truly reload up there.
Yeah, so that's down the road. But so when you have high expectations, does that put more pressure on the staff, or on yourself, or how do you approach that? I mean, you can't do the chip on the shoulder because people think you're going to be great.
Yeah, that whole chip on the thing, that don't work here. What I've realized here, well, as I've explained to a lot of people, as much fun as winning is, winning really isn't that fun because the stress and the expectation that comes with it. Right. We in 2012 we had a really good team at EV. We went undefeated. We lost East Lansing in the first round, but the expectation and that pressure to win every week, it's not the most healthiest thing in the world. But what we have to try to teach these kids, what they have to understand is these guys have done nothing.
Yeah.
That was last year.
So you got to start over.
So you can't. They'll want to try to live off what last year's team did. Well, that's not you. Right. This is this year's team. We found that out a few years ago. We did really well. Then we went up to St. Joe to scrimmage, and we scrimmaged 3 people up there. It was like the state championship for them. They get to scrimmage East Lansing and kind of gave it to us a little bit because our kids thought they were just going to put the helmet out there. And, now we came, obviously we learned from that and had another outstanding year, but you haven't done anything. You have to prove to everybody because like you said, no, everybody's going to give you your best because you are East Lansing. You did make it to the semis last year. Let's get a notch in our belt by beating you. So if you don't come out, with that juice, you're gonna find yourself in trouble.
Well, you got 3 weeks to prepare. It'll be on this field, Thursday night, August 29th, 7 p.m. against Portage Central, which is not Portage Northern level, but it's still tough competition.
They beat Northern last year.
Oh, they did beat Northern last year. Oh my.
Yeah, they get after each other pretty good over there. I'll personally say I'm tired of playing them. I like to play somebody different.
Yeah.
It's like the 5th year in a row playing these guys.
Yeah, and you also have what do you have? Davidson on your schedule?
Got Davidson like week 4 or 5, something like that.
You got DeWitt, obviously, which is
Hudsonville, another Division I program.
That's a big school, 2,000 plus kids.
So yeah, Coach don't. He asked questions that hey, Coach, you sure you want to play Davidson? Now Davidson, that was supposed to be a home game for us. Somehow it ended up being an away game. Not too happy about that. So
how does that happen? You got 4 home games?
So, again, for the 3rd year in a row, only 4 home games.
That's
so that's
unfortunate. It's frustrating for the high school band. They're out practicing. I saw, playing tennis out here the other night, and they were practicing this past week, and they sounded really good.
And all day, every day.
Yeah,
last week.
That's tremendous. So on this field that particular night, it's kind of always that first weekend. That's a huge weekend, folks. Huge, because college football. You talk about juice. NFL's still 1 week away, but you got college football, including Friday night, the next night here, Michigan State opening with FAU. Michigan with their honorary captain 2 days later. Jim Harbaugh is going to be opening with Fresno State. But it's Thursday night. It kicks off with high school football. I'll be here. The place will be packed. The weather's typically good. And you got a Hall of Fame introduction, including the 1973 East Lansing Trojans that went 9-0. This is when they had mythical state championships.
The mythical stuff.
Yeah, and so they lost state championship to Saginaw Arthur Hill, which went like 474-0 or something that year.
Oh.
Yeah, did you know that?
Oh my.
474-0. Yeah.
It's like didn't Holt have a team that went on?
Yeah, and that's and that was a mythical thing. It was a voting booth, and so it's a beauty contest.
Who you playing?
Yeah.
They don't score any points. You're pretty good.
But that East Lansing team have Dave Radlett and Ken Foote, and I want to bring up Ken Foote, and it ties into this what I'm wearing here, East Lansing Junior Trojans. My wife and I ran that program for 10 years, but it started out we reignited it in 2005 with the incredible help of the late Art Branstetter Jr., who ran the program in the late 60s, and Art was instrumental in getting that going with Tina and myself, and then Ken Foote, who's on that 73 team, he made an incredible donation. Obviously very, very generous donation, and we got the uniforms, and we went to Johnny Mac's, and the kids were all excited.
Well, you went to Vanderbort's.
What?
You went to Vanderbort's.
No, we went to Johnny Mac's that year.
Had to be Vanderbilt.
No,
okay. Well, you were doing.
2005.
Okay.
Johnny Mac's. Okay.
All right.
And kids were all excited. We had a lot of kids in the program, and the key thing besides getting all the generosity and Ken Foote and some others is that the kids got to play on this field, Lindsay Adams Stadium, and that was a thrill for them. And that was when, the field was like moonsod. It's like how
terrible.
It was nice out in the flats between the hashes.
Right.
Look out, baby. And then we're talking the third week it was like that.
Right, one of the worst fields to play on.
Yeah, but now it's,
beautiful
turf here. This is a great stadium, folks. This is a great stadium, and I know you're super excited. Now, I'm sure you had a little anxiety that first year of coaching. Do you get a little butterflies or excitement or what tomorrow morning? No?
The more, when you're young, because you're dumb. You don't know nothing.
You're not dumb no more.
You're still trying to learn. Well, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
And I'm not as dumb, but I'm still learning. I learned, especially like we got when FA left and went to Okemos and Javi and those guys that left, we got new guys in.
Sure.
And so like Coach Bob and Coach Mike and like learning from, it's like Jorge got all kinds of juice. He's on the computer learning, watching stuff, and he shares stuff with me all the time.
He got a digital brain when it comes to football.
And it's like, you just continue to evolve and get better. Now, I have my base of what I learned from, arguably two of the greatest, in my opinion, offensive line coaches in Buck Nystrom and Pat Morris. The stuff that I learned.
That's hot cotton, man.
None of that.
Coach Buck?
None of it has changed. It's all the same. It's just different tweaks here and there, And so you always end up going back to what you really know, and then you just modify it to help, because not everybody's gonna be 6'7", 300-pound Ethan Boyd. You might have a 5'8", 300-pound other kid, but he can't do what he does.
Right.
But he still has to get the job done. So how can you help him be successful? And that's where you get. That's where the satisfaction really comes in coaching. The wins and losses, it all takes care of themselves. But when you can help somebody, when you can just see the progression of kids get better, and you watch them get better, and they take the coaching, that's really why you stay in it.
Well, and you're coaching a very unique position group, offensive line, because it's the one position group which doesn't obviously get a lot of acclaim. Because your name's not coming over the loudspeaker for making a block.
Only
if you're
you get in trouble.
Yeah. Well, fortunately in high school they don't name your number or anything like
Not
that
yet.
like they do in college. That's coming, right?
Not yet.
Like in the college and pros. But the offensive lineman, I mean, there has to be just some kind of sweet passion for, to be contributing and carving up those holes, because
Sure.
and yet it's a position group that requires probably more intelligence than anything else. I mean, because you got a lot to think about.
Oh yeah, I mean, for all my years at Everett, always the best athletes always sent them to go play defense. No, because
Right.
you got to stop people. Give me the smart kids, because the stuff we were doing on offense, I couldn't afford to have kids that weren't able to understand what we were trying to do. Shout out to probably my best, smartest. And if he had been 5 inches taller, he'd probably still be in the NFL. Chad Foster, I had him when he was a baby, when he was a freshman. Put him through the absolute ringer, tears, snot, everything. And but he started for me as a freshman on our first playoff team. And by the time he was a junior, I could say one word to him out on the field. Got it, coach.
Wow.
Done. I mean, we were in that kind of with such good phase with each other. But there is no, it's really self-gratification and the domination of the guy. No, you're gonna go dominate him.
Right.
And he needs to know that from the first series. Like, no, this is how it's gonna be the whole day. I'm going to literally try to take your will to playing football by just hitting you and beating you and blocking you all day and not stopping until the whistle blows and maybe the echo for 48 minutes. That's how it's going to have to be.
Right.
And that's what you do as an offense. And then you go home and, you may pat yourself on your back, or your buddies will pat yourself on our backs, and then we go home.
Well, and you have a nice back in Jace Clarizio, who's going to go on at Michigan State. You can carve that hole and watch that guy sprint down.
Well, the
for a touchdown.
better the back is,
Better the blocking.
the better the blocking looks. Ain't no question about that.
Are they more motivated when they know a guy that can take it to the house?
Well, that's the key thing, and we try to tell them like at EV, like when we had Reggie, when Reggie was a 10th grader. Well, I had seniors.
Oh, I remember
had a lot
him.
of seniors,
That-
right?
that was a dude, man.
We're going to make him look a lot better than he is right now as a 10th grader, because he was still learning. I said, but then when he was a junior and senior, I said, he's going to make us look a lot better than we are, because he's going to get out of things. They didn't call him the human joystick for no reason. Reggie was a problem for 3 years. Everybody was, hey, is he going to graduate? Well, we try to keep him here as long as we can, but it's a mesh of the two. Obviously, the better the back is, the easier it is, because then you don't have to hold blocks for as long. When you got somebody like that, hit the hole and go.
Yeah. And you got Coach Farraco coming out here another time.
Coach Farraco embarrassed them kids.
75 years old? No, 77. 77 years old.
He embarrassed them kids again Friday. We had our testing on Friday.
Embarrassed him, how?
Because he does this push-up test. The man's a genetic freak.
Yeah.
He does his push-up test where you get the 3 groups plus him, and he does a push-up, and then everybody else does a push-up. Then he does 2, and they do 2, and then he does 3, and he went up to like 15.
Oh my word.
And then came all the way back down, and there was only probably a quarter of the kids left.
So Bill Farraco's got the sinewy, lean muscle strength.
I don't know what you call it, old man strength. The man is weird.
Yeah, I love Farraco.
It was absolutely because the first time I seen it 7 years ago, I'm like, what's going on? And I'm watching, and now
Still
it's just
teaching
like,
too.
and
We just had him out a few weeks ago.
He's just banging these push-ups out like Coach.
Hey, push-ups are the
Coach,
great,
you go get
that's the greatest exercise in the world.
Exactly.
You don't need a weight room. Go push-ups, leg lifts, sit-ups.
That's a
and,
prime.
and walk or run.
It's a prime example of what I try to tell all these kids, my daughter included. Invest in the free stuff.
That's free.
Don't cost you nothing to go do some push-ups and sit-ups.
Give me a
and
hardwood
body
floor
squats.
and
Bang them out. Invest in the free stuff. And it's truly just amazing just to watch them. It's like, 7. I mean, no, there's no, absolutely not. Not even going to attempt it.
But you
to
won't?
watch him do it,
Yeah.
unreal.
So I can tell just in this podcast, from when we started to where we're at right now near the end, that your energy is already picking up, man. I'm feeling a vibe. You are ready for football.
I mean, there's nothing. I mean, there is no other sport in the world that requires what it takes for football to work.
Tom Brady mentioned that in that speech a few weeks ago. It's like everybody else going to the beach, you got to go to work.
Practice.
Attention to detail.
All of it.
And especially in your position group, there's a lot to think about.
All it takes is one person to not do their job.
And then
it doesn't work.
Then your quarterback gets blown out.
Right.
Your star running back gets blown out.
Or you get beat deep with a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
Or
you're in the secondary.
If you're not, it's the greatest team sport ever invented, and to get people to buy in. Like if you watch that, I'm not a basketball fan at all. I watch.
But you have a strong awareness of basketball.
Sure, I watched every minute of that game yesterday.
Oh.
And the poor officiating.
Yeah.
And the whole 9 yards. But Dwayne Wade said it best at the end of the program. Those are all NBA players. You have to be great. You have to be not necessarily conceited, but cocky to a point, because you have to believe in yourself.
Right.
But you also have to be humble enough to put that in your pocket for the betterment of the team. And there's no other sport that values that as much as football.
Yeah.
It cannot be about you.
Yeah.
And if you think so, as far as I'm concerned, I don't want you around me.
There you go.
I need to be around, like, hey man, look, we all in this together. Like, if I look to the right, I need to know that you got my back 100%. And that you're gonna give me 100%. No excuses. And whether we win or lose, that's really, that's just a byproduct of, good plays, luck, here and there, whatever. But if I can't trust you,
it sounds like you have, Kerry Keyton, your opening speech for two-a-days tomorrow. You got it down cold, man. Just nail it.
Coach will take care of that. He'll have them all fired up, ready to go. If you come out here tomorrow and you ain't ready to go, as a high school kid, something wrong with you.
Yeah, something wrong with you.
You need to go try something else.
Yeah. All right, he's Kerry Keyton. I'm Tom Crawford here in the Crawford Podcasting Network. I want to wish all the high school football players, all the student athletes in the Michigan High School Athletic Association who are participating tomorrow, next week, whatever, leading up to the fall sports. Best of luck to you. Bring it hard, with passion, like this guy always says.
Be safe.
Yeah.
Go Trojans. Hey.
Till next time.